Welcome to Soul Spirit Stories, where hearts meet hope, and every story reminds you that love and kindness still exist in this world. If you believe in the power of compassion, stay with us till the end, because today's story might just restore your faith in humanity. It all began on a cold winter morning. The city was waking up slowly, clouds hanging low over the tall glass buildings. In one of those towers, Sterling Enterprises, a man named David worked quietly as a janitor. He was in his late 30s, his hands rough from years of hard work, his eyes kind but tired. Every morning before the executives arrived, he would mop the shining marble floors, wipe the fingerprints off the glass doors, and make sure the lobby looked perfect. David wasn't just a janitor, he was also a father. A single father to a little girl named Lily, who was 8 years old, curious, bright, and always full of laughter. Her mother had passed away 5 years ago in a car accident, and since then, David had promised himself that he would do everything in his power to give Lily the life she deserved. No matter how hard things got, their small apartment wasn't fancy. It was a one-bedroom place in the outskirts of town, but to Lily, it was home, especially because her dad always found ways to make it magical. They painted stars on the ceiling, made paper lanterns, and every weekend, David would push the furniture aside, turn on some music, and dance with his daughter in the living room. Those were their happiest moments. At Sterling Enterprises, the CEO was Mr. Thomas Sterling, a powerful, wealthy man who rarely smiled. His only daughter, Emma, was 22. She had once been the light of every room she entered, vibrant, full of dreams, a talented dancer studying ballet in New York. But a year ago, tragedy struck. Emma was in a car accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down. Overnight, her entire world changed. She returned home broken, her body confined to a wheelchair, her spirit shattered. The once joyful young woman had become distant, quiet, and cold. She refused to see friends, avoided social gatherings, and shut herself inside her father's mansion. No music, no laughter, no more dancing. Mr. Sterling tried everything, doctors, therapists, expensive treatments, but nothing could heal the pain in Emma's heart. The house grew silent. The father and daughter barely spoke. And though Thomas had all the money in the world, he couldn't buy back his daughter's smile. One rainy evening, fate began to weave their stories together. David was finishing his shift, pushing the mop across the quiet lobby, when he heard the sound of wheels rolling on the marble floor. He looked up and saw Emma Sterling, the CEO's daughter. He had seen her once before in a photo hanging in the office hallway, smiling gracefully in a ballet costume. But the young woman in front of him was different. Her eyes were distant, her face pale, and her expression carried the weight of 1,000 broken dreams. David quickly moved his mop aside, stepping back politely. "Good evening, miss," he said softly. Emma barely nodded. She was waiting for her father, who was finishing a late meeting. The silence felt heavy. Then a small sound came from David's phone, a message alert. He quickly silenced it, but not before a cheerful voice note played for a second. "Daddy, don't forget to pick me up and play our song in the car." Emma glanced toward him. Her eyes softened a little. "You have a daughter?" she asked quietly. David smiled shyly. "Yes, ma'am. Her name's Lily. She's 8. Emma's gaze lingered for a moment. "You sound like a good dad." "I'm trying," David replied, his voice humble. "It's just me and her now. She keeps me going." There was a brief pause. Then the elevator doors opened and Mr. Sterling appeared, speaking on his phone. He nodded curtly to David, placed a hand on his daughter's wheelchair, and guided her away without a word. But as the doors closed behind them, Emma turned her head slightly and smiled, a small, fragile smile, before disappearing into the elevator. The next morning, David found a small white envelope in the lobby's lost and found box. Inside was a folded note written in elegant handwriting. "Thank you for being kind. The world needs more fathers like you." It was signed simply E.S. Over the next few weeks, David saw Emma a few more times. Sometimes she came to wait for her father. Sometimes she just sat in the lobby, staring out at the city skyline. David would always greet her kindly, and every time, her responses became a little warmer. One afternoon, while David was cleaning near the reception desk, Emma spoke again. "Do you always hum when you work?" she asked. David froze for a second, embarrassed. He hadn't even realized he was humming. "Sorry about that. It's just an old song my daughter likes. She says it makes the room feel happy." Emma tilted her head. "What's the song?" He smiled. "It's called When the Stars Come Out. It's the one we dance to every weekend." Emma's eyes dimmed slightly. "Dance," she whispered. "I used to dance." David hesitated, sensing the pain behind her words. "Used to?" She looked down at her hands. "Before the accident. Ballet was my whole life now. I can't even stand." David wanted to say something comforting, but he didn't know what words could possibly reach her. So instead, he said the one thing that came from his heart. "Maybe you can't stand," he said softly, "but that doesn't mean you can't dance." Emma frowned slightly. "That's easy for you to say." "Maybe," he replied, "but I've learned that dancing isn't about your legs. It's about your spirit. My daughter always says, 'Daddy, even if you can't hear the music, you can still feel it.'" For a moment, Emma just stared at him. Then, to his surprise, she smiled faintly. "Your daughter sounds wise." "She is," David said proudly. "She keeps me believing." From that day on, something began to change. Emma started talking more. Sometimes she asked David about his daughter. Sometimes she asked about his late wife. And slowly her coldness melted away. The janitor and the CEO's daughter, two souls from completely different worlds, found comfort in each other's stories. One day, David brought Lily to work for a few hours because her school was closed. She was shy at first, but her big brown eyes lit up when she saw the giant building. "Daddy, it's so shiny," she said, giggling as she watched her reflection on the floor. Emma was there that day, sitting quietly by the window. When Lily spotted her, she waved. "Hi, I'm Lily. You're really pretty." Emma laughed, a sound that hadn't echoed through the building in months. "Thank you, Lily. I'm Emma." Lily ran up to her, eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Do you like music?" Emma hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, I used to dance." "Oh, me and Daddy dance every weekend," Lily said proudly. "You can join us. Daddy says dancing makes sad hearts happy." Emma blinked, her throat tightening. "I don't know if I can dance anymore." Lily tilted her head. "You can dance with your hands. Or your smile. Daddy says there are many ways to dance." David watched silently, his heart swelling. That day when he finished work, he found Emma still sitting by the window, but this time she had her headphones on, and her fingers were tapping lightly to the rhythm of a song only she could hear. A few days later, a charity event was announced at Sterling Enterprises, an annual company gala. This year it was special. They were raising funds for children's hospitals. Mr. Sterling planned everything perfectly, but he refused to make it a formal, gloomy affair. He wanted something uplifting. When the night of the event arrived, the ballroom was filled with laughter, light, and music. The city's elite were there. Executives, politicians, philanthropists. David, as always, was part of the cleanup crew. He stayed in the back, making sure everything was in order. Emma attended the event too, sitting gracefully in her wheelchair beside her father. She looked stunning, a navy blue dress, her hair curled softly, but even amid the glimmer and chatter, her eyes searched the room quietly. When she spotted David near the entrance, she smiled and waved. During the evening, the host announced a special musical performance. A live band. The song they played next made David's heart skip a beat. It was When the Stars Come Out, Lily's favorite. David looked up, surprised. Emma was watching him. He realized she had arranged it. For him, for Lily, for what their friendship had meant to her. As the melody filled the room, David slowly walked toward her. The crowd's chatter dimmed as people noticed the janitor approaching the CEO's daughter. He stopped in front of her, his heart racing. "May I have this dance?" he asked quietly. A ripple of whispers moved through the crowd. Mr. Sterling looked shocked, but Emma didn't hesitate. She looked up at David and smiled, the kind of smile that could melt any heart. "Yes," she said softly. "I'd love to." David didn't touch her hands right away. Instead, he stepped behind her wheelchair and began to move gently in rhythm with the music, guiding her across the floor. She laughed, genuinely laughed, as he spun her around, her dress flowing, her hair glimmering in the lights. It wasn't a dance of pity. It was a dance of joy, of freedom, of courage. The entire room fell silent, watching the janitor and the paralyzed heiress move together like two souls, remembering what it meant to be alive. Tears welled in Mr. Sterling's eyes. For the first time in a year, he saw his daughter truly smile. When the song ended, the room erupted in applause. Emma looked up at David with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "You reminded me how to feel again." David smiled gently. "No, Emma, you reminded yourself. I just turned on the music." From that night on, Emma changed. She began physical therapy again, not because she believed she would walk, but